Everybody, and welcome to INVO Underwriting's webinar today with Solo Ghost. We have Jeff here. He's going to give you all the information that you need to know on Solo Ghost. He's even going to walk you through a quote. We will answer all questions at the end. There is a question box in your top right-hand corner where you will type out your question if you have any. Before I let Jeff take over, what I'm going to do is going to show you how to get to Solo Ghost in INVO Underwriting's portal. For the appointed agents that are here, we have changed up our portal a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to get to that. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So right now I'm just showing invounderwriting.com. Once you get there, you will click on the top right-hand corner and click Agent Portal. You will then log into the agent portal. Again, Solo Ghost is a commercial work comp carrier, so you will scroll all the way down here to workers' comp. And it is right here. If you click quote now, it's going to take you to this login. If you have created a login, you should be good to go. If you have not, you will have to register your agency here in the top right-hand corner. So if you've not done that, make sure you do that so you can get approved and accepted so you're able to begin quoting with Solo Ghost. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get this over to Jeff. Let me give you presenter status. And boop.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for getting on with us. I'm going to run you through some things as soon as we get this. There it is. I think I'm ready to share.
You should be good to go now, Jeff.
All righty. I think I'm good. So does that pop up for you guys? I can't tell if it's sharing or not.
It's not sharing yet.
Okay. That might be why. There we go.
You're good now, Jeff. It's showing.
All righty. So this is just basically the first screen that everyone will see the first time you log in. And I like to leave it up there. So let me tell you a little bit of history of the policy and what it's built for and what it's used for. Anybody who's been in the industry any amount of time will understand what a ghost policy is. It's an owner-only policy. But the one thing I like to stress is a lot of us that have been around for a while, we know what a if-any policy is, and this is not an if-any policy. So the difference is an if-any policy is a workers' comp policy you write for someone who may hire employees or use subcontractors down the road, and they have true coverage. They've got a policy that's going to cover those claims. They'll get picked up, the payroll or the use of subs gets picked up at the audit, or you can midterm report to the carrier and have it added and start paying premium on those employees and or subcontractors. That's not what we are. We are a specially niche product. Basically, it's built just for owners only. So if you have a company that's owners only, it can be multiple owners, multiple partners in an LLC. Anybody that's considered on paper to be an owner or a partner can be covered. They can never hire an employee. They can never use subcontractors, day laborers, cash laborers, their brother-in-law, their teenage children. Nobody can come to work for them. And the reason is there is no coverage at all. And that's the reason the premium is so much lower than anything else. So I'll move on from that and just kind of run through a couple of things for you very quickly. We are in all states with this product except for the 4 monopolistic states. Those are the states that the state government or the bureau in the state runs their workers' comp programs. We are not in those 4 states. So everywhere else we have coverage, and we have about 600 class codes. So the first time you log in, you're going to come into this tab, which is your app tab. And what we did is we built this system to be able to also be used as a management dashboard for our products, because once you write something with us, it's got an auto renewal process built in. So anytime you come in, you'll be able to come in and see your apps. If you've got policies that are written, you can see those also. This is just a demo site, so there aren't any policies in here yet. But what we use is we use the application and an instant message system. So let me show you just a couple of things, and then I'll show you how to do a quote. It's really easy. So when you come into your dashboard, if you have an application process started and you want to go in and work on that, you click the View App button, and it pulls you into this dashboard. And you'll see as you go along, as you start a quote, you bind a quote, you add documentation to it, this will start building out with more and more information. But the key thing I want to tell everybody is when you start an application, or you have a question about whether there's coverage, you're not going to email anybody. We're a little bit different than any other provider out there, carrier out there, in the fact that we use an inline instant message system. So I'm going to use this comment box. So if I start a quote on this particular insured, and I want to know if I can write it in multiple states, or I want to explain a situation. They do trucking, but occasionally he'll, do delivery services or something like that. I can add a comment. And the nice part about it is when I add a comment on here and I save this, it's going to go straight to the underwriter's desktop. So whichever the underwriter is, we have 4 underwriters that work with these and it rotates through them. It'll pop up on Jennifer's desktop that you have a question. She'll either answer you right back, and if you're at your desktop, it'll pop up on your comments and you'll be able to see it. Or the other thing that'll happen is it'll send you an email notification. So you don't have to worry about sitting at your computer waiting for that comment to come back. You'll get an email. Jennifer answered your question. Yes, we can write it. We'll just have to note in the policy whatever she wants to do. And you can actually click on that email and it'll link you right back into this submission. The reason we built that is if anybody's ever worked on the carrier side or worked with an underwriter closely, the biggest problem you have is if you send an email in asking a question, maybe the right underwriter gets it, maybe not, then they got to go figure out which one you're talking about, and it takes more time. So when we use this system here, it automatically pops up this insured's process so that you and the underwriter are on the same page, okay? So starting a quote, it's the new app button. And what's going to happen up with you guys, and I'm a little bit different. I should have probably done it differently, but basically all you're going to have is access to the Solo X. So the Solo X is our ghost policy. You have to use a current or future effective date. So in your producer dropdown, if you're in a multi-agency, you have a bunch of agents in your agency, or if you have a CSR, they can sign up as a user only, a non-licensed user, and they can do your quotes for you. You just have to be able to select a licensed producer in this quote. Then the next thing is if there's a company name, which I'm not going to do a company name, it's going to just be an individual. So the state I'm going to write in, I'm just going to pick Georgia. Let's see if I can spell. So Georgia, and business entity, I'll do a sole proprietor. You can have any of these business entities. Realistically, on an owner-only policy, a sole proprietor is probably where you're going to be. But if it is a partnership or a corporation, I'll show you where they add extra people. Then with a sole proprietor, you can either use a tax ID number or a social security number. Sole proprietors are the only ones that you can use a social security number. On a corporation, partnership, or LLCs, it has to have a tax ID number. We don't want loosely formed partnerships. The 2 guys working together occasionally and they want to get a policy together. That's not the person we want. We want a formed partnership. So I'm going to do something that I'm going to stress upon everybody else not to do, because I will get a nasty email from the underwriter wanting to know why I'm showing you guys this. But I'm going to put in a fake tax ID number or social security number. So let me click to a social security number and put one in here. I just want to be able to quickly identify it and delete it later. So I don't want to try to search around and find it. I'm doing a ghost policy, owner only. So number of employees has to be 0. If I put in 1, it'll let me keep going, but then it'll default out and tell you you're in the wrong quote system for that. Number of owners, once again, it's a sole proprietor 1. If I were to put more than 1 in here, you'll notice as I come down here, I'll have 2 owner spots, okay? It automatically expands to include that, but I'm leaving it 1. Do I hire subcontractors, 1099ers, use day labor? This has to be no. And I'm not saying you put no in there, even if it is. You have to be the person who understands the program and make sure that your insured understands this program. Because if they do have employees, subcontractors, and day laborers, then it can get their policy canceled. And remember, there's no refund. It's a fully earned premium. So if you write this and 2 months later, the carrier finds out they have employees or subs, they're going to cancel that policy, and you got to explain to your insured why you just cost them $1,000. So I'll just put my information in here. I'm going to use my Solo Pro. Has to be the insured's email address. We do not accept the agent's email address or a fake email address, because on a monthly basis, when they're bound, depending on the carrier, they will send an email out to them and says, hey, just want to remind you, no employees, subcontractors, day laborers. And if they don't answer those emails, they'll send them a letter. If they don't answer the letter, then they will cancel them mid-year. So we just need to make sure that they have an email address that they can use. I'll just put a phone number in here. And I apologize. I'm on the East Coast and we're having some weather come through. So it's been kind of crazy with our internet. Then type of work. As you look down through here, you'll see that in Georgia, we have a ton of class codes. However, a lot of them may or may not fit as an owner only, but I'm just going to use trucking. And when I type in trucking, if I don't have the class code, it's going to pop up with all my options. And I'm just going to go with 7219. Does the owner wish to be included? Once again, this is an excluded policy. If I hit yes, it's going to kick me over to the other one, which is not covered with you guys. So you want to use the no on here and just do your ghost policies. And then the only liability limit we offer in these is $1 million, and we do that for you because if the insured says I want a 151, guarantee you 3 months later or once the policy is bound, they'll come back to you and they'll say, hey, I got another job, and the boss at that one wants me to have $1 million. And then you got to go through the hassle of changing everything, and it's not really going to be any more premium. So you've done a lot of work again. We don't want that to happen. So there's my quote. I hit continue. I get a thumbs up because guess what? It fits in with everything that's required. We have an intuitive system and it's going to pre-underwrite everything. And here's my quote. So this one in Georgia is going to be written with Cimarron Insurance. I can click on the quote PDF. This is something I can keep. It's a PDF, so I can download it, save it to my management system, or email it to the insured so that they have it. Cimarron Insurance, $1 million coverage, the insured's name, the class code, the rating state. Annual premiums $1,000. We have a loss control fee. So we have a couple of systems that will then go through and check to make sure that they did tell us that they're trucking, and they only have one driver because it's an owner-only policy. A lot of times we run the tax ID number on some of these folks, and it comes up that they have 3 units or 3 trucks. We know they have 3 drivers, and that would be a decline. So we have a fee we have to pay for that service. The best part about the ghost policy, owner-only policy, is we will actually allow the insured to pay for this on the system with their own credit card. We just like to make sure that they know that's a $42.90 charge. It's 3.9%. Or if you want to collect the premium and then use an agency e-check to pay it, you can do that. You can never use the insured's e-check. And those of us have had this happen, you know as well as I do, that if you use an an insured's e-check, by the time they get home or 2 days later when it gets drafted, they've already bought materials for the next job and they may or may not have that money in there. So we just stopped taking insured's e-checks. It's too much hassle. Okay. So that's your quote. If I want to continue with that, the insured says, yes, I want to do it. I can click continue as the agent. And it's going to give me the underwriting rules again. We're going to beat you over the head with these underwriting rules, but we want to make sure you understand that you cannot have any subs, day laborers, or paid employees. Okay. So click OK. And if you notice, this is an application. This is all there is. It's the Accord questions. It's the same stuff you guys do with an Accord. And I'm going to show you when we build an Accord where it's at. So if I go through here, I can enter all this information. Or the other thing I can do is see this Easy Send button. I can click on the Easy Send button and I can email this application to the insured to complete for me. And then when they finish it and it comes back to me, or they do part of it and save it, it's going to notify me. The system notifies me as the agent that they've either completed it or it's been sent back to me to finish up. So if I click send, here's the owner's email. It's going to go to them and they can finish it. Okay. So I'm not going to go through all of that. I just want to run through a couple more things with you so you can see. At the top of the bar up here, once you bind a policy, it'll be under your policies tab. I don't have one under here right now. If I go to the left and go to markets, I can drop down here and I can see what we have for the way of workers' comp. I think yours is going to look a little bit different. The one thing I do want to show you is resources. We've got an appetite guide up here. So at any time, you can look in here and see what we have for the Solo X program in the state that you write in. So if you're in Tennessee, here's the class codes and the premiums. If you want to switch this to any other state, New Jersey, the Solo X is a max minimum premium. So if anybody writing in California because of the SB 216 law, there's the premiums for that. So we've got all of our resources in here as far as the premiums. Last thing I want to show you, which is pretty much one of the things that I think is one of our cool features is anybody who's been writing recently, you run into a lot of the direct consumer websites that you're competing with. So you give your insured a quote, and then the next day they call you and say, hey, well, I was on this website last night while I was sitting on my couch, and they were able to quote this, this, and this, and it's a better premium. So what we've built is a custom URL for each one of you. It would be logoed to you. So if you click on your initials once you're logged in and you go to My Organization, you're going to be able to see your agency information in here. But at the bottom of here is an insure form. All you do is upload your logo for your agency, and then you can create links. So let's say I want to do this for me, and I want it to just be the Solo X. And I apologize. Yours is not going to look like this. You're just going to have the Solo X on there because I have a little bit of a higher clearance on the website. It's giving me everything. So when I go into here under the Solo X and I hit save, I now have a URL, an application process that I can put on my website, or I can email out to my insureds. Let me just get a private window since I'm logged in. And what happens is when your insured pops in on it, your agency logo's up here, and they can do the application that we just ran through. They can do it themselves. So they can do the application, and once they finish that application, it pops up onto your app tab. So let me go back over here to the app tab. So you would get an email letting you know that Jeff Valentine started a quote, and you would be able to go in and look at their contact information. So if I just start a quote and don't do anything else, it's going to collect this data for you. So it's a prospecting tool. So it's going to notify you when somebody does a quote. It's going to notify you if I fill out the application. It's going to notify you when I sign the documents, and it's going to notify you if I pay. At any time there, you can jump in and work with your client directly, or you can let them go all the way through. And at the end, when they paid, you have to go in and review and approve, because remember, you're now the agent of record, which means it goes under your E&O. So we want to make sure that you have the ability to go in there and say, no, no, no. You put down that you're a truck driver, but I know for a fact you're a framer or a roofer. You just did that class code to get through. So we want to give you guys that ability. But the cool part about it is it gives you the ability to have that link where you can compete with the direct consumer sites. And you can put that link anywhere you want. I'll give you a perfect example. I have an agent in Georgia who took that link and just converted it into a QR code. And he's got these postcards made up that he stands outside the trucking terminals that he works with and hands them out to all the drivers coming in and out. They click on that QR code with their phone, and you can do the application on your phone. And a lot of those truckers do that and actually buy the coverage instantly. So there's not a whole lot more to it. The system is very intuitive. Once the policy is bound with us, everything you do on the policy tab, and I apologize, there's not one up here. It must have come off. It must have expired. I had a demo from earlier. But what happens is when you log in there, you can request loss runs. There won't be any because it's hopefully, not going to wood, there won't be any. You can cancel the policy. You can request certificates. You can do different things on that application or the policy tab. And then once the policy is coming up for renewal, our system automatically sends you and the insured an email 90 days out. Are you going to renew? If you click yes, then it starts that process over again, lets you change the application if something's changed. And if not, you just submit it, get electronic signatures again, pay for the next policy period, and move on. Okay, no midterm audits. That's the nice part about this versus NCCI or the assigned risk pools. And our audit process with this is a single sheet electronic questionnaire that they get in their renewal packet, and it has all their information on it. And then the one thing it does is the first question is, did you have any employee subs, day laborers, contractors during this policy period? If they check no. The next question is, do you plan on having any in the following policy period? And the question answer is no, then it moves on and they just renew. If either one of those is yes, then we're going to come back to you as the agent and say, hey, they said they had an employee, give us more information. If it was a one-time thing, they made a mistake and they're not going to do it again, we might give them another policy period, or we may ask you to move it to one of our carriers or your carriers, whatever you have. So there's a lot of options there. We just try to make it as simple as possible. Questions? Do we have any questions yet?
We do. And everyone, you can start asking your questions right now. Also, the people that came in late, This is recorded. It'll be posted on our YouTube channel. It'll also be in our trainings tab in our agent portal. So no worries if you are late, it will be posted. We have 2 questions right now. The first one says, can you start an app from scratch?
Oh, you want me to do another one?
That was earlier in the presentation. Philip, if you're still here, if you want to, no, he's good. He said
Okay.
no.
Look, I was joking. I usually start my presentation out with a joke about the fact that, you got to realize this was built. So guys my age, and I might be over the age of 50, probably over the age of 60, I guess. But, it has to be simple for us. We built it very easy. It's very Windows based, very intuitive. So, starting a new app is simple. It's 9 questions. Once you've started that application, it shows up on your application tab. If at any time you have a question that maybe an underwriter needs to answer, you just find the one you want to ask them a question about, click the View App button. It brings you into that application and use the comment box. So it's pretty easy to use.
And then our next question, they said, if we pay the agency e-check when it renews, will the same account be charged?
We do not store that information, but you will get a link to be able to do the same exact thing again. It's done electronically through our system. But we don't store any payment information, so we can't do that.
And then our next question says, is there a preference between agent pay or insured pays?
There's not a preference for us, but there will be a preference for you. I will tell you, you don't want to take insured's money and pay with an agency e-check, because you'll have the same problem we have, which is a lot of times by the time the check clears with you, they may or may not have that money there, and you've already committed to paying us. So if you don't have the money from them, but you paid us, there's no refund option, so you're out. So I would just recommend, and I will show you one thing. So on the system, where you can go in, and at the bottom under that link, you can make it either agency pay or insure paid. And I will tell you the 2 reasons, one versus the other. If you're in a state where you're allowed to charge a policy issuance fee, then you need to leave it as an agency pay. You're going to collect our premium and your policy issuance fee, and then just pay the premium when the link comes up. If you're not, or you don't want to mess with that, which a lot of agents don't, just leave it in insure pay, let them do their credit card, and move on.
Jeff, do you want to give your contact information and your email just for
Absolutely.
if anybody else has any questions after this? Like I said, this is Jeff's contact information. You can give him a shout. You can give me a shout, whatever y'all want to do. But Jeff is going to show his contact information here.
Yeah, it's jeff@soulpro.com.
Pretty simple.
Very simple. And if you would like, I'll send you where you've got it. But if you just want to share my email, my phone number, my direct line comes straight to my phone. I'm usually on one of these, so a lot of times I have to call you back. It's better off just emailing me and letting me answer. I would prefer that if you have an INVO person that you work with, to include them in that email so that they know that the conversation we're having. And it also helps everybody kind of get an overview of all the different questions that come up, so that maybe the INVO folks can answer those questions for you the next time you need help.
Philip asked if there's any social media marketing tools he can use.
The only social media marketing tool would be that insure form link. We don't have anything. I don't know if you guys want to help them with anything on your side, but no, we do not.
Okay. And then we have another question. They said, if at any point the insured hires employees, can it be moved to another program with SoPro, or would it be to be rewritten elsewhere?
It would have to be rewritten elsewhere, but I leave that up to you and your partners at INVO. But yes, they have 24-hour notice. They have to notify us within 24 hours, and they have to move coverage.
Okay,
It's very much a niche product. It's not designed for anybody that sits in that gray area. It's very much, if they have no employee subs or day laborers, and they're not going to, those are the ones that really go.
Does anybody else have any other questions before we end this webinar today? It doesn't look like we do. So like I said, we have one more question. Diana, I'm going to post this on our YouTube channel. I could also send it to you after. I can send you the link. I can send everybody the link to this webinar once it's recorded. It takes a minute for it to download and do all those things, but it will be on our YouTube channel and it'll be on our trainings tab in the agent portal if you were late to the webinar. Well, all right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Thank you, Jeff, so much. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me or Jeff. And I hope everyone has a good rest of their day.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jeff.